You are being judged in the first 3 seconds. And what she notices has nothing to do with what you think. This was never explained to you. No one sat you down and revealed what actually captures a woman's attention when an older man walks into a room. You were given advice about clothes, about money, about status, but the things that genuinely register in her mind operate on a completely different level. And until you understand what she is actually seeing, you will keep trying to impress her with things that barely matter. Stay with me until I share the final thing she notices. It is the one that determines whether she forgets you instantly or cannot stop thinking about you for days. If this is landing for you, tap like right now. You are already separating yourself from most men just by being curious enough to learn this. Welcome to this space where we uncover the hidden psychology of attraction. What women actually feel, what they never say out loud, and what gives certain men an unforgettable presence. Evolutionary psychologists have documented that women assess potential partners within moments of first contact. Dr. David Buss at the University of Texas found that these assessments happen largely outside conscious awareness. She is not making a checklist. She is not analyzing you deliberately. Her nervous system is reading you before her thinking mind catches up. And the signals she picks up in those first moments shape everything that follows. This is not about tricks or performance. This is about understanding how human perception actually works. A woman can sense authenticity instantly. She can feel the difference between a man who is genuinely grounded and a man who is pretending. What I am sharing here is not manipulation. It is awareness, and awareness changes everything. Let me begin with the anchor of stillness. The very first thing a woman notices in an older man is how he occupies space. Not how much space. How? Does he fidget? Does he shift weight constantly? Do his hands search for something to hold? Or does he stand with a kind of settled calm that suggests he has nothing to prove? Research in non-verbal communication shows that stillness communicates confidence more powerfully than any words. Dr. Amy Cuddy's work at Harvard demonstrated that body language shapes not only how others perceive us, but how we perceive ourselves. When an older man carries himself with quiet stability, her nervous system registers safety. She may not consciously think he seems confident, but she feels something. And that feeling is the beginning of attraction. Imagine this. You enter a room where a gathering is already underway. Instead of immediately scanning for people you know, instead of pulling out your phone, instead of shifting uncomfortably, you pause. You take in the room. You let yourself arrive before you act. That pause communicates more than an hour of conversation. It tells her that you are not anxious, that you are not desperate for validation, that you are a man who is comfortable simply being. This communicates groundedness. It communicates self-possession. And in a world where most men radiate nervous energy, stillness becomes magnetic. But there is something she notices even before your body language settles. The second thing is your eyes. Not their color, not their shape. The quality of attention behind them. When you look at someone, what do your eyes communicate? Are they darting, searching, hungry? Or are they steady, warm, present? Women are extraordinarily skilled at reading eyes. Studies in social cognition show that humans can detect emotional states from eyes alone with remarkable accuracy. When an older man looks at a woman with genuine presence, without agenda, without desperation, without that scanning quality that makes her feel like prey, something shifts in her. A woman in her late 40s once told me something I have never forgotten. She said that most men look at her like they want something from her, but occasionally a man looks at her like he simply sees her. She described that difference as the difference between feeling hunted and feeling witnessed. One makes her want to leave, the other makes her want to stay. Imagine this. You are introduced to someone new. Instead of immediately thinking about what to say, instead of letting your eyes drift to assess her physically, you simply look at her. You see her. Not as a category, not as an opportunity, as a person. That quality of attention is rare, and she feels it instantly. Most men over 50 have accumulated something valuable: experience, depth, the capacity for genuine seeing that younger men often lack. But many men hide this behind nervous energy or performance. When you let your natural presence communicate through your eyes, you offer her something most men never do. Now I need to share something that surprises many men. The third thing she notices is your voice. Not what you say, how you say it, the pace, the depth, the resonance. Research in vocal perception shows that lower, slower voices are consistently rated as more attractive and more trustworthy. But this is not about artificially deepening your voice. It is about what your voice reveals about your internal state. When a man is nervous, his voice rises. It speeds up. It becomes thin and rushed. When a man is genuinely settled, his voice naturally drops into its lower registers. It slows. It carries weight. And she hears all of this before she processes a single word you say. Dr. Klofstad's research at the University of Miami found that voice pitch significantly influences perceptions of leadership and competence. When an older man speaks from a place of calm authority, his voice communicates that he has lived, that he has earned his perspective, that he is not performing confidence but embodying it. Imagine this. Someone asks you a question at a social gathering. Instead of rushing to answer, you pause. You let a breath settle. Then you respond at your natural pace, without hurrying, without raising your pitch to fill silence. That pause and that pacing communicate security, and she notices it immediately, even if she could never explain why. This is not about performing relaxation, it is about actually being relaxed, and the difference is everything. The fourth thing she notices is how you respond to the room around you. Are you reactive or centered? When something unexpected happens, when a conversation takes an awkward turn, when someone says something provocative, how do you respond? Do you get pulled off balance? Or do you remain steady? Women watch this constantly. Psychologists who study mate selection have documented that emotional stability ranks among the highest traits women seek in long-term partners. This makes evolutionary sense. A man who becomes reactive under minor stress signals that he might not be stable under major stress. A man who remains centered signals safety. Imagine this. You are at a dinner party. Someone makes an offhand comment that could be taken as criticism. The man sitting next to you visibly stiffens. His energy shifts to defensiveness. But you let the comment land without reacting. Perhaps you acknowledge it with a slight nod or a calm response. You do not fight. You do not flee. You simply remain. Every woman at that table notices, and something in her assessment of you changes. This does not mean being passive or emotionless. It means having the capacity to experience a moment without being controlled by it. That capacity is rare, and it is one of the most attractive qualities an older man can possess. A woman who works as a therapist once shared her perspective with me. She said that the most attractive older men she has encountered all share one quality. They seem unshakable. Not cold, not distant, but rooted. She said it feels like standing next to an old tree. You know it has weathered storms. You know it will weather more. And something about that steadiness makes you want to stay close. If you are recognizing yourself in what I am describing, you are already ahead. Subscribe to this channel, because what is coming next reveals the deeper layers of what draws women to certain men. And what we are about to discuss is rarely spoken about openly. The fifth thing she notices is your relationship with silence. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill it. They speak to avoid the discomfort of empty air. But a man who can sit in silence without anxiety communicates something powerful. Research in interpersonal dynamics shows that comfort with silence correlates strongly with emotional intelligence and secure attachment. When you can allow pauses in conversation, when you do not scramble to fill every gap, you demonstrate that you are not dependent on external validation. You are complete in yourself, and she feels this as safety. Imagine this. You are having a conversation with a woman you find interesting. There is a natural pause. Instead of rushing to speak, you let the pause exist. You remain present. You might even smile slightly, enjoying the moment rather than fearing it. That comfort communicates volumes. It tells her that you do not need her to rescue you from awkwardness, that you are at peace with yourself, that being with you would be restful rather than exhausting. Most men treat silence as failure, but silence can be the most powerful communication of all. It says, "I am enough, and I believe you are too." The sixth thing she notices operates beneath her conscious awareness entirely. It is your scent. Not cologne, though that matters. The underlying scent that communicates health, genetics, and compatibility. Research in human pheromones, while still debated, suggests that we transmit biological information through scent that influences attraction at an unconscious level. But beyond raw biology, scent communicates something about how you care for yourself. A man who smells clean, who wears a subtle fragrance rather than a cloud of overpowering cologne, who pays attention to this detail without obsessing over it, signals self-respect. He signals that he considers himself worth presenting well, and that subtle signal registers. This is not about expensive products, it is about attention. A man who neglects his physical presentation communicates something about his self-regard. A man who tends to himself with care communicates something entirely different. And she picks up this information before a single word is exchanged. The seventh thing she notices is how you treat others in the room. Not her, others. The server at the restaurant, the person who interrupts your conversation, the friend who tells a story that goes on too long. How you respond to people who cannot benefit you reveals your character. And women watch this constantly. Psychologists call this trait perception through observation. We form impressions of people not only through direct interaction, but by watching how they interact with others. When an older man treats a server with genuine warmth, when he listens to someone boring with patience, when he responds to interruption with grace, something shifts in how she sees him. Imagine this. You are at dinner with someone you are just getting to know. The waiter makes a minor mistake with the order. Some men would show irritation. Some would make a pointed comment, but you simply acknowledge the situation with kindness and move on. That moment tells her more about who you are than anything you could say about yourself. It tells her how you would treat her when she makes mistakes. It tells her how you would treat her when she is not at her best. And that information is everything. A woman once told me that she can predict exactly how a man will treat her by watching how he treats people he has nothing to gain from. She said this observation has never failed her. Never. That is how closely women watch. That is how much these moments matter. The eighth thing she notices is perhaps the most subtle of all. It is your relationship with yourself. Do you seem like a man who likes who he is? Or do you carry the weight of self-criticism, regret, and dissatisfaction? This is not about arrogance, it is about peace. When a man has made peace with his life, with his choices, with his body, with his age, something in his energy shifts. He stops trying to prove, he stops apologizing for existing. He simply is. And that quality of self-acceptance is extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily attractive. Research on self-compassion shows that people who treat themselves kindly are perceived as more emotionally available and more trustworthy. When you have stopped fighting yourself, you have more presence to offer others. When you have accepted your journey, your lines, your years, you radiate a kind of freedom that younger men cannot fake. Imagine this. You catch your reflection as you enter a gathering. Instead of criticizing what you see, instead of wishing you were younger or different, you simply acknowledge the man looking back at you. You recognize that this man has lived, has learned, has earned every line on his face. That moment of internal acceptance radiates outward, and she feels it without knowing what she is feeling. Here is what I need you to understand. None of this is about changing who you are. It is about revealing who you already are by removing the noise, the fidgeting, the rushing, the performing. When you strip away the anxiety that has accumulated over decades, what remains is presence. And presence is what she notices first, most deeply, and most permanently. Most men spend their lives trying to impress women with external things, accomplishments, possessions, status. But what she actually registers in those first moments has nothing to do with any of that. She notices how you carry yourself, how you see, how you speak, how you respond, how you exist in the world. And the beautiful truth is that these qualities only deepen with age. The stillness that comes from having nothing left to prove, the steadiness that comes from having weathered storms, the presence that comes from finally accepting yourself. These are gifts that time gives, and they are precisely what draws her attention before you say a word. Most men will never understand this. They will keep chasing the wrong signals. They will keep performing instead of being. They will keep wondering why attraction feels so mysterious when the truth has been available all along. But you are here. You are learning. You are becoming aware of what actually matters. And that awareness will change everything. If this connected with something real inside you, I want to hear from you. Comment the word presence below. That single word tells me you understand, that you are choosing awareness over assumptions, that you are ready to show up differently. Hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, because what comes next explores what happens after she notices you, how to move from that first impression into genuine connection, how to deepen her interest without games or manipulation. You do not want to miss what is coming.